Hello, my dear friends. Here is Sat Sangat. I'm again with another lunation of April. This time is the new moon in Taurus at 22nd of April. In some places of the world, it could be on the 23rd of April at 9:25 or 9. Let me see. Here in Texas, 9:25 p.m. As I said, it could be overnight. In some other places of the world, UTC time is 2:25 a.m. I want to start by really appreciating your following me. And if you liked my videos before, make sure that you subscribe. That supports my channel. And feel free to make comments or to contact me. Donations are appreciated also at this time. So I'll put the link below in the description box of the video if you'd like to make a donation, and as well as visiting my blog where I have been writing about everything that's going on right now for a while already. So if you like to know more about what is really going on, you can go back to my reading my series on the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn that I have done in several installments, and you can read that in my blog. So I am an astrologer, and I also do personal readings. You can visit my page on what I offer and how I work, link at the top of the blog page. You'll find all the information, including reviews from my clients and students. Having done that introduction, I appreciate your watching now, and I will dive into the new moon in Taurus. This new moon, of course, as always, is the conjunction of the moon and the sun, and it is in the sign of Taurus, and is together with Uranus. So this is an important lunation, very significant. The sign, let's start by the sign of Taurus. The sign of Taurus is an earth sign, it's fixed sign, and it's concerned with everything that has to do with the produce of the land, the products of the land, the economy, the material resources that are there to sustain our lives. It's the stage in the development right after the baby has been born, right? Is the second stage in the development, and is this maintenance of life, and providing the energy, the food, the resources, and everything that has to do with the material sustenance of life. So we can say that this new moon is, in fact, a question. Are we having dinner tonight? What is it that we are going to eat tomorrow? So this is the cycle. This moon cycle will have us all think about our nourishment and how we will survive. Right? Because it's not only surviving the illness of the COVID-19, but surviving the whole situation, economic situation that the virus crisis has put us in. So the main theme of this lunation will be sustaining life. So we will be concerned about finding the resources and the stability and the productivity of everything that we need in order to maintain life. So it also has to do the global level. It has to do with the economy, the global economy, and finances. Also the wealth, the banking system, anything that has to do with investing money, and all the related themes, currencies, liquid assets, bonds, stocks, the stock market investments, and all of that. So the economy will be the central theme for this next month, starting April 22nd. Well, already, but by the time the new moon is starting new on that subject. So the moon is at 3 degrees 24 minutes of Taurus, and not only the moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus, but specifically at 3 degrees. This is the classical astrology sustains that 3 degrees of Taurus is the degree of the moon's exaltation in that sign. So what it means is that it makes even more significant this new moon. And we need to consider that the moon also represents the people, masses of people. So this will be the focus of this month, will be the survival of people in general, of our human race, and everybody in the planet will be concerned. It has to do with the core essence of who we are as human. It also, I would like to talk also about Uranus, the planets Uranus or Uranus in Greek, is the Lord of the sky, right? And it represents everything that comes from the heaven in knowledge, understanding, intellectual understanding, but it's also an energy of inquisitiveness. It's a planet that represents our intellectual abilities, and it rules an air sign of Aquarius. So Uranus brings winds, right? We just had in central Texas and other parts in where was it? Alabama. I think there were tornadoes on Sunday morning. So I don't know wherever you live in the world, if you have noticed that there is more or increased wind events in the climate. And it will be for the next 6 years. All the time when Uranus transits the sign of Taurus, there will be more windy situations on the lands, wherever you are. So because Uranus is a planet that brings dryness and even dry weather, and for agriculture, for example. Last time that Uranus transited Taurus, it was between 1934 and 1941. And well, I think most people remember those were the years of the Great Depression. And that was not only financial depression and economic scarcity, but the agriculture was heavily affected by the dryness, the dry weather. So that may come back as either a problem in agriculture or in the weather in general. Winds may be more powerful during the time Uranus is transiting Taurus. So it is also the planet that is associated with the waves, electromagnetic waves, like radio waves and the positive ions in the air, which affect our bodies and the physical things all around, physical life in general. The positive ions in the air are very toxic for human life and for life in general, because they are absorbed by the body, that is mainly has mainly negative ions, and it provokes inflammations, chronic pain. It worsens allergies, and it gives also emotional problems. Maybe you've noticed that when there's a windy day, you are more irritable. It means that you're getting toxins in your blood. And that happens also under the influence of electronic devices, which generate positive ions, and that's why they dry the respiratory airways, and for example, the cell phone towers, Wi-Fi waves, they all carry positive ions, and that's a generation of toxins for the body. So there is another astronomical phenomenon that is happening at the moment. As you may know, the solar system travels around the galaxy, our Milky Way galaxy. So as the whole system, it travels around it. And of course, we are not in the same region that the solar system was 100 years ago. We are in another region of the galaxy. And apparently in this region of the galaxy, we are receiving electromagnetic fields, influences and waves that we hadn't experienced before. And you can check this in the NASA website and other astronomical websites where you can learn more about this. But this is something real that is happening at the moment in the region where the solar system is traveling. So the Earth is bombarded with all those neutrinos and different waves that we hadn't experienced before, and all that is affecting life on Earth. So these times, while Uranus is transiting Taurus, we will be affected by those, and it is a situation where our health will be affected by those toxic influences. So what happens is that our bodies and the Earth in general is trying to adapt to the new situation, and is trying, it has to get rid of those toxins, and in the way we are adapting our DNA in order to fight those toxins coming bombarding us from everywhere. So, of course, the virus is one of those factors that is affecting us in a toxic way. As you know, it enters the cell, and it attacks the DNA, and it changes it, and the cell explodes. And as I said, because of the positive ions that brings, it generates toxins in the body. So our bodies as living organisms are evolving and adapting to all those influences. So as you can see, it's not just the virus. We are evolving in a different part of the galaxy, and we are evolving together with the whole solar system. So having explained that, the influences are not only to the life on Earth, but it's also an influence that gives us more intellectual clarity. Apparently, Uranus has this influence on the intellect that can give us those flashes of insight and understanding, and sometimes there's understanding that doesn't go through the present level of logical thinking, and oftentimes people who have a strong influence of Uranus in their lives, they come up with ideas and technical innovations or scientific discoveries that may seem out of this world, is because the people receive this influence from a higher realm of knowledge, and oftentimes it comes all at once in one piece. We have examples like Einstein and Tesla and other scientists who have received this kind of downloads, right, for the benefit of humanity. Uranus is often associated with the and Aquarius as well, with the myth of Prometheus, who was punished because he brought the fire to the humans, from the gods to the humans, and the gods were so upset with him that they chain him to a rock and have him suffer a torment, eternal torment, from which, by the way, Chiron saved him. Anyways, so this is something very, an archetype, very significant for us to consider these times when we have such a strong influence by Uranus on the Earth. So things like technological development and scientific advances may or may not find us prepared, right? Like we can see how fast the scientific and technological developments were advanced at a rate that we were not able to keep up, right? And by keep up, I mean understanding the effects that they could bring to our lives on Earth, and the in general the life forms on Earth. So I think as Uranus guides us down the road of the discoveries and innovation and eccentric new findings, humans have not been able to keep up studying very thoroughly the consequences that those could have brought. So here we are, probably suffering consequences from those very big and huge advancements in our intellectual discoveries and all that. So why I'm explaining that is because with this new moon, we are excuse me, we are looking for resources that are innovative, that they can bring us the survival assurance that we need, right? This need to find new resources and food, right, that we can use in order to ensure that we are going through this period in a positive way, and that we can survive. We need to use our intellect and use the innovation in order to create new things that can ensure our survival. Okay, so let's go in detail to the changes that Uranus may introduce in order to help us survive. One of the things that so this energy suggests is like that we will be changing our eating habits, because also in Taurus is the change of our values. Things that we valued before, we won't value anymore. And especially having the ruler of this new moon is Venus, and it's transiting Gemini. And she is there looking for information, more information. You probably are looking for data and scientific research results and all kinds of information about how to strengthen your immune system, for example, and other sources of information about the virus and how you can protect yourself from the virus, etc. So Venus, the ruler of this new moon, is occupied in making contacts with information, but also, as I said, since Uranus is so close to the moon, we are also looking for innovative ideas, ideas that we can implement and try and see if they work. For example, other things that Taurus likes is not having waste, using all the resources that we have. For example, you will not want to throw away your old clothing, because, for example, at this moment, you can make masks from old cotton clothes. You can readapt old clothes in order to make new ones. What else? You can use resources in order to reconvert them to something innovative, right, that can help you go through these times. So make sure that you keep things that can be reused or transformed in a way. Possessions, goods, resources, anything that you can transform. So you will also change your values regarding beauty. So what you thought it was beautiful before, it won't be beautiful now. And whatever you value before, it will be a change, right? And especially it will be more related to the future. Your values will be related to your future. So whatever will be good for you in the future, or you think now that it will help you in the future, then that is what you will value. So you probably will think more about how to introduce innovative ways of gardening. If you live in a reduced place where you only have a small balcony, maybe you like to plant tomatoes in a pot, or do that kind of thing, because the more you're able to plant, you have one more way of providing for yourself and your family, right? So if you have a space where you can cultivate the soil and plant vegetables, or you should be thinking about doing that. So other things that are happening at the economic and financial level is that the financial institutions are working on finding alternative economic resources. For example, we may see changes in the currency and in the banking system. For example, banks may get rid of the cash, physical cash, and go virtual, right? We have seen that already started, but in the coming probably months, you will see changes in that regard. So currency will be profoundly changed. Also, the practices of farming and commerce as well will undergo transformation. For example, people may start trading among themselves. If you have something that is useful for your neighbor, you may start exchanging in your small neighborhood or community, because Uranus represents the small community around you, right? Where you and also the cooperative system of commerce. So trade and exchange goods could also help us to find the resources that we need. So those are some of the ideas that the new moon with Uranus can bring to us. So this is a new moon, a new beginning, right? It's a seed planted of some new start, but at the same time is hurry up and stop, right? Hurry up and don't move, because the new moon is square Saturn in Aquarius. So the orb is kind of it's close. I mean, it's 2 degrees apart. So it is enough close in order for us to feel the restraint of movement, right? We are locked down, and the restraint of our freedoms. So we also feel this lack of resources. So many millions of people have lost their jobs and their source of income. So that many people are feeling this loss and lack of resources, and this scarcity, right? So this is due to the square to Saturn, and it will probably this next month, starting on April 22nd, it will be aggravated because of the square to Saturn. So but at the same time, Uranus square to Saturn is providing the challenge to find innovative ways of finding resources or building resources. So you might get connected online to people for trade, for example, or you may have a sudden revelation of a way to find your resources. So it is going to be kind of a clash of the new ideas with the traditional ideas. Saturn is tradition and is conservative, and probably governments around the world will be more they will try to stick to the past and to the ways that things were done financially, economically before. But the thing is that there is this new wave of innovation that we need to implement, because the old ways haven't solved any problem. And we have plenty of evidence that the old ways are not working with the present problem that we have, that we need to face. So we need this clash of the old and the new in order to be challenged to find new ways of doing things. So many people who are, as I said, very conservative and traditional may not want to change, but change is needed in order for us to survive. So so there is this need to break with the status quo. Okay, so we have also, let me check my notes. So Venus is, as I said, in Gemini, and we are almost permanently with the informations online or through TV or through contacting people who are knowledgeable. We are trying to learn and others teach those innovative ways of doing things, right? And you may have your social activity obviously is all online, right? This weekend I've been folk dancing with 500 people around the world, and it's very interesting. Yeah, I do international folk dance, and it's a very nice community around the world. And so we connect through the internet, and we dance each in our living rooms. So that's for entertainment, but it's also for our social need of contact with other people. But at the same time, people not only look for entertainment, Venus is also entertainment and social, but also information that can help us feel better and provide for our needs. So let me follow my notes here. Okay, so Mercury is a semi-sextile with Neptune. You know, Mercury had been in Pisces for a long time because it took the retrograde there, and it's now we are we are thinking clearer than when it was in Pisces. But at the same time, Mercury in Aries is Mercury that is kind of impulsive in communication and thinking, maybe coming to conclusions too fast, too soon. And it's near Aries, the rebellious planet, which is 23 degrees, and Mercury is 20 degrees. So there's also this rebellious thinking going on, and with some logic, right? Because this situation is very challenging, and we need to have this reaction, intellectual reaction, in order to stimulate our neurons in finding solutions. So in a way, it's good to have this reactive mental mode, because it's helping us create, it's helping us with the inspiration to create a new reality for us. And with a semi-sextile with Neptune, it can give you, through imagination, intuition, and daydreaming, right? It can give you ideas that are not accessible in the 3D world, right? The ideas that come from above, from the spiritual world. And maybe your ancestors can come and help you with ideas, and that you may remember things that you have done in past lives in order to survive. And those things may come to your mind through daydreaming, but also to dreaming, real sleeping, dreaming while you sleep, right? Because while we are sleeping, we are going into the spiritual world, and we can ask for solutions there. So it can also, on the negative side, we can also have self-doubt, and we can be indecisive. And when we speak, since Mercury in Aries is so fast, we can have misunderstandings and misinterpretation of things. So this semi-sextile is kind of iffy. I can go both ways. It can go towards imagination, or too much to the impulsiveness of thinking and coming to conclusions too fast, too soon. Another important point that I want to mention is the semi-sextile between Uranus, 6 degrees of Taurus, and Chiron, 7 degrees of Aries. Those two planets have been in semi-sextile for years and years, more than, I'd say, I don't know, 14, 15 years. And what happens is that the poor Chiron behind Uranus, right? Uranus comes and blows out everything that doesn't work anymore. While he was transiting in Aries, it was about our identity. We had significant changes in our identities, and we threw out things that didn't work anymore. And the poor Chiron, all wounded behind, trying to adjust to the changes, right? So yeah, Uranus, the wounded healer, is trying to adjust to the changes. And the changes are constant, because Uranus is so rebellious, and he's a pioneer. It's a maverick, the one that goes ahead and makes the changes and the transformations, and all the rest needs to follow after, right? He does it first and ahead of the time, and then we have to adapt as we can. So many health consequences, especially Mercury, Chiron in Aries talks about injuries or to the head, but also to our the feelings of having an inadequate identity. I mean, being human right now is really so difficult. And sometimes we feel that it would be good to be superhuman, right? But we find that we are vulnerable. We have this fragility of this biological fragility that we need to overcome by finding alternative ways to healing. So one of the things that we should consider is not only the allopathic medicine, but also support our defense system by eating well, right? Changing the eating habits in a way that will help us have a strong defenses and a stronger immune system in order to fight any illness that may come. And also, do not discard other alternative ways of healing. I'm not saying that you replace them, that you substitute them to the regular ways of healing. Of course, I'm not a medical advisor or a doctor or expert, but I am an alternative healer. So I know that things like meditation and energy healing methods help and support our health. So you can use them all, right? And you can use the herbs and the food that you know that has the nutrients that the immune system needs. I read medical information about essentials for the immune system, vitamin D3, together with having exposure to the sun, selenium, zinc, vitamin C, of course. But you can get all those through food. For example, you can get zinc from sunflower seeds. You can get selenium from fish. You can get vitamin D3 from food that have oil, certain oils. So you can look up and find more information about that. Vitamin C, for example, any citrus, and now we have passed the citrus season, but you can get kiwis, have a very high content of vitamin C. And there is also a wonderful plant that you can incorporate to your diet, which is called Moringa. Moringa is a plant that is used in underdeveloped countries in order to feed people who don't have anything else to eat. And it has so many vitamins and minerals that is a kind of the magic plant. So you can look it up also, Moringa. Moringa, Moringa. Okay, so look up all the information that you can in order to have the good food that will protect you. Well, I think the other piece that I want to point out is that the all the planets in this chart are from 24 degrees of Capricorn to 15 degrees of Gemini. And all the planets are squeezed together within the one hemisphere of the nodal axis. The nodes of the moon are 0 Capricorn, 0 Cancer. And all the planets are in the eastern hemisphere. This hemisphere is the hemisphere of self-determination. With this configuration, human beings are finding out that they are the creators of their destiny. So that's one of the things. The other thing is that in Vedic astrology, the nodes of the moon are associated with a mythological monster who was punished punished by the gods, and because that monster wanted to become a god. So the gods punished him and cut him in two parts. So now the south node of the moon will be the tail of the monster, and the north node of the moon will be the mouth. So the mouth is it's also like a snake shape of monster. And so the mouth is always eating and eating, insatiable. And the tail is also eliminating and draining out everything, all the waste, everything that is not good anymore. So what happens when all the planets are between those two, especially going, these planets are traveling from the south node into the north node. And the symbolism of that is that we are leaving behind a past that is no longer useful and is not longer good for us, and we are going to the mouth of the monster. So trying to become something new, to find new ways of being, new ways of solving problems, new ways of creating a new world, a new era. So we are all responsible for creating this era. It's not just up to the governmental institutions represented by those planets in Capricorn, right? That they are tightening the grip to the traditions, to the conservative ideas. They are trying to grip to their huge fortunes and huge amount of power, right? That's not going to be useful anymore. Unfortunately, we are leaving behind the patriarchal system of that overpowering the earth, overpowering the life source. There's no way to overpower the life force, because there is this power above everything that is in control. So we are moving away from those conservative ideas, conservative systems, and power control. And we are moving to a way of creating something different. We may not see it now, and some of us who are old, we will never see it in this life. But for our children and grandchildren, this humanity right now is creating a new way, a new world, a new way of being. So we are all actors in this creation. This in Vedic astrology, this configuration is called Kalasarpa Yoga, and it's a very complicated technique that I don't master at all. But suffice to say that we are leaving behind this old world and we are creating a new world. So another point is that the nodal axis, the north node and the south node, at the 0 degree of the cardinal points. The south node at the cardinal point of the winter, and the north node at the cardinal point of the summer. So you see here, 0 degree of the winter. This when the sun crosses the 0 point of Capricorn is when we enter winter, and that's what we are leaving behind, the death of winter. Okay, we are leaving behind this dead material, right? When the winter time is when all the trees are letting go of their close their leaves, and the leaves rot at the bottom on top of the soil, and there is new life generating inside, right? So we're leaving behind all that winter, and we are going towards the summer, right? Uh, of course, in the summer, we will see the fruit of our labors. So these 0 degree nodal axis is not any 0 degrees. It's a very crucial 0 degree because it's cardinal. We are changing. We're changing completely and radically, like the changes of summer and the changes of winter. So let me see my notes if I have something else that I wanted to share. So in order to wrap up, we need to consider this lunation starting on April 23rd, 22nd, 23rd, as I said, a lunation, a month where we start looking for resources and looking for ways in which we will nourish the family, our human family, and take care of our loved ones and everybody and every form of life on earth. So remember, it's not just us on the planet. We are dependable on the bees, on the insects, on all forms of life, because we are just part of an ecosystem. And whenever the ecosystem is out of balance, we become out of balance, and we become affected by that imbalance. So let's, during this month, reflect while we are within the walls that Saturn is imposing on us. Let us meditate and reflect on the ways we can create a world that respects that ecosystem, that balance that nature needs in order for us to survive and every forms of life to survive. So even if we have restrictions and limitations imposed upon us at the moment, let us find enjoyment in imagining the world that we would like to live in. Okay, so I'm not discarding rebellion, right? But in order for us to really thrive, the rebellion should be about changing our ways and creating new ways. Not, it shouldn't be rebellion about fighting others because we feel that we are right and they are wrong. No, that's not the kind of energy that this new moon is proposing. This new moon is proposing a kind of rebellion that makes us change from inside out, not imposing change on other people, right? It needs to come from inside. So let us not use violence at all, and never harm or hurt anybody or anything else, but just use this powerful energy, intellectual energy, and the pleasures of being alive in order to create a new world for everybody. And thank you so much for watching. And I hope you have a good time, and you remember that carpe diem, use this day in a productive way, and be happy. Enjoy what you have right now in the present moment in order to enjoy later on a better situation. Hey, hi, Yotish. I see your messages. Oh, thank you for your comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Remember to visit my blog at satsangat.astrology.blogspot.com. Bye bye. Thank you.